My name is Diego. I am a storyteller, and this is the tale of loss, betrayal, and a desperate quest for justice. After our parents passed away, my brother Michael took everything, leaving me with nothing but memories and a heart full of resentment. The house that held our childhood laughter was stripped of its warmth, just like my spirit. Barbara, our mother, always knew that family was the most important thing, but Michael had chosen a different path, driven by greed and bitterness. I watched as he paraded our inheritance, flaunting what belonged to us, yet I felt powerless to stop him. In my darkest moments, I realized that what mattered most was not material possessions, but the bonds we shared. So, I decided to reclaim what was lost. I focused on the only thing Michael truly cherished, Michelle, his closest confidant, the one person he never thought I would touch. Through calculated moves and whispered truths, I began to unravel the web he had spun around her. As love turned to betrayal, I felt a strange sense of empowerment. Michael lost much, but I reclaimed my dignity, realizing that in the end, the heart can endure, even when everything else is taken away. My name is Diego, and I am a storyteller. This is the tale of loss, betrayal, and a desperate quest for justice. After our parents passed away, my brother Michael took everything, leaving me with nothing but memories and a heart full of resentment. The house that held our childhood laughter was stripped of its warmth, just like my spirit. Our mother, Barbara, always knew that family was the most important thing, but Michael had chosen a different path, driven by greed and bitterness. I remember the day we received the news about our parents' accident. It was a chilly November morning, and the world felt heavy with sorrow. As we sat in the living room, the weight of our loss settled between us like an uninvited guest. My heart ached for the warmth of our family, the laughter we once shared, but Michael seemed distant, consumed by thoughts of what he could gain. I watched as he calculated the value of our inheritance, his eyes glinting with a hunger I had never seen before. Michael wasted no time. Immediately after the funeral, he began dividing our parents' possessions, claiming the house as his own. I stood by, feeling powerless, watching him strip away the memories that had once filled those walls with joy. He took the family heirlooms, the photographs, and even the furniture that held our childhood memories. I was left with nothing but the echo of our mother's voice and the lingering scent of her perfume. Barbara had always instilled in us the importance of family, the need to support one another through thick and thin. But Michael chose a different path, one that led him to believe that everything was rightfully his. I felt betrayed, not just by my brother, but by the very essence of what family meant to us. The betrayal cut deep, and I was left to confront my own feelings of anger and helplessness. As the months passed, I watched Michael parade our inheritance, flaunting what belonged to us. He threw lavish parties in the house, inviting friends and acquaintances who reveled in the glory of his newfound wealth. I felt like a ghost, haunting the edges of my own life, invisible as he basked in the attention and admiration that came with his possessions. It was unbearable, and I knew I had to do something. In my darkest moments, I realized that what mattered most was not material possessions, but the bonds we shared. I had to reclaim what was lost, not through the things Michael had taken, but by targeting the one thing he truly cherished, Michelle, his closest confidant. She was someone he never thought I would touch, a person he believed would always stand by his side. Little did he know, I had been watching the way they interacted, the way he leaned on her during his moments of vulnerability. I began to formulate a plan. It was a dangerous game, but I was determined to show Michael the consequences of his betrayal. I reached out to Michelle, presenting myself as a friend in need. I wanted to understand her, to uncover the cracks in Michael's facade that I knew existed. As we spoke, I learned about her own feelings of isolation, her struggles with Michael's growing arrogance, and the way he treated her as an accessory to his life rather than an equal partner.
The more we talked, the more I realized that Michelle felt trapped, much like I did. She had her dreams, her aspirations, but they were overshadowed by Michael's ambitions. I could see the longing in her eyes for something deeper, something real. I began to share my own experiences, my own feelings of betrayal and loss, and slowly we forged a bond that was built on understanding and shared pain. As I pulled Michelle closer, I felt a strange sense of empowerment. I was no longer the victim of my brother's greed.
I was reclaiming my own narrative. I whispered truths about Michael, revealing the selfishness that lay beneath his polished exterior. I painted a picture of a man who had lost touch with what truly mattered: family, love, and loyalty. Michelle listened intently, her eyes widening with every revelation. Eventually, the day came when I knew I had to make my move. I invited Michelle to a quiet cafe, a place where we could talk without distractions. As we sat across from each other, I could see the conflict in her eyes. She was torn between her loyalty to Michael and the connection we had formed. It was time to confront the truth. "Do you really believe he cares about you?" I asked, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "He may have taken everything from me, but he's also taking from you. You deserve better than to be a trophy in his life." Michelle hesitated, her brow furrowing as she considered my words. I could see the realization dawning upon her, and I pressed on. "You are worth so much more than what he has made you believe. You deserve someone who sees you, who values you for who you are." As the conversation deepened, I watched as the walls she had built around her heart began to crumble. She started to question her relationship with Michael, reflecting on the moments that had led her to feel undervalued and unappreciated. I offered her a glimpse of what a partnership should look like, one built on respect, trust, and mutual support. In that moment, I felt a sense of liberation. Michael may have taken everything from me, but I was reclaiming my dignity through the bonds I was forming with others. I knew that by drawing Michelle into my world, I was striking at the very core of Michael's arrogance. He had underestimated the power of connection, and I was determined to show him just how wrong he was. As I walked away from that cafe, I felt a surge of hope. I realized that even in the depths of betrayal, there was a chance for redemption. A possibility to rebuild what had been lost. I may have lost my childhood home and the memories that came with it, but I was not defeated. I was ready to fight back, to reclaim my narrative, and to show Michael that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in the connections we forge with others. Diego sat in the small office, the walls adorned with remnants of memories he wished to forget. The air was thick with the weight of betrayal, and he felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. Today marked the first time he would confront the reality of his brother Michael's actions since their parents' passing. The room felt like a prison, each piece of furniture a reminder of what was lost. He could still hear their laughter echoing in the hallways of their childhood home, now claimed entirely by Michael, who had chosen greed over family. As he prepared for this moment, Diego's mind drifted to Barbara, their mother. She had always taught them about the importance of family, the bonds that should never be broken. But Michael had twisted those lessons, using them to justify his own selfishness. The anger that simmered inside Diego had been building since that fateful day when he learned about their parents' accident. While he was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered life, Michael had seized every opportunity to enrich himself, leaving Diego with nothing but the echoes of their shared past. Diego's thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. It was Michelle, Michael's confidant, and someone who had always intrigued him. She entered with a gentle smile, but Diego could see the uncertainty in her eyes. He had invited her to meet him, hoping to find some clarity amidst the chaos that Michael had created. Michelle had been a constant presence in Michael's life, but Diego sensed that beneath her cheerful demeanor lay a depth of understanding that few recognized. "Hey, Diego," she said softly, taking a seat across from him. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." "No, not at all," Diego replied, trying to maintain a calm facade. "I wanted to talk to you about... Everything that's happened. About Michael. Michelle nodded, her expression turning serious. I've been feeling a lot of things lately too. It's hard to navigate this situation. I never expected things to end up like this. Diego leaned forward, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Michael has taken everything from me, Michelle. He stripped away our family's legacy, and I feel like I'm drowning in resentment. But it's not just about the things he took. It's about the bond we used to share as brothers, and how he shattered that trust. She looked down, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. I know he can be difficult. He's changed a lot since your parents passed. Sometimes I wonder if he even realizes how he's treating the people around him. Diego felt a flicker of hope. You see it too, don't you? It's like he's blinded by this desire for wealth and status. I can't help but think that he's lost sight of what really matters. Michelle glanced up, her eyes meeting Diego's. I've been feeling trapped, Diego. I care about Michael, but I also feel like I'm just a part of his image, not a partner. I've tried to support him, but it's like he's built this wall around himself. Diego's heart raced. This was the opening he needed. You deserve better than that, Michelle. You deserve someone who values you for who you are, not just for what you can provide. Michael has taken so much from both of us, and I want to help you see that. The tension in the room shifted, and Michelle's eyes widened as she absorbed his words. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we break free from his hold. We can't let him dictate our lives any longer. You have your own dreams, your own aspirations. Don't let him overshadow them with his ambitions, Diego urged, his voice growing stronger with conviction. Michelle hesitated, her brow furrowing. But he's my partner. I've stood by him through everything. I don't know if I can just walk away. Diego leaned back, letting her words hang in the air. It's not about walking away. It's about reclaiming your own identity. You have every right to pursue what makes you happy. I know it's not easy, but you're not alone in this. As they spoke, Diego could see the conflict in her eyes. She was torn between loyalty to Michael and the emerging realization that perhaps her relationship was built on shaky ground. He pressed on, offering her glimpses of what a true partnership could look like, one rooted in respect, trust, and mutual support. I've watched you with Michael, and I can see the moments when you feel sidelined, Diego said gently. You have so much to offer, and it pains me to see you diminish yourself for someone who doesn't appreciate your worth. Tears welled in Michelle's eyes as she considered his words. I've felt that way for a while, Diego. I just didn't know how to voice it. I thought it was just a phase, but now I'm not so sure. Diego took a deep breath, feeling a surge of determination. You deserve to be seen and valued. You deserve someone who lifts you up, not someone who uses you to elevate their own status. I know this is difficult, but I believe you can find the strength to confront this. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken thoughts, and Diego could see the wheels turning in her mind. He didn't want to manipulate her feelings, but he felt compelled to help her realize that she had the power to choose her own path. I'll think about it, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. It's just so complicated. I understand, Diego replied, his heart aching for her. Just know that I'm here for you. You're not alone in this fight, no matter what decision you make. As their conversation drew to a close, Diego felt a sense of hope blooming within him. He had opened a door for Michelle, a chance for her to step out of the shadows of Michael's greed. He knew this was just the beginning, but it was a step towards reclaiming not only his own dignity, but also helping her find her voice. Diego watched as Michelle left the office, a mixture of emotions swirling within him. He had taken the first step in confronting the betrayal that had torn their family apart. While Michael may have taken everything material, he was beginning to realize that the true power lay in the connections they forged with one another. As he sat alone in the office, he felt a renewed sense of purpose,
ready to reclaim his narrative and find justice in the bonds of family and friendship. Diego sat in the small office, the walls adorned with remnants of memories he wished to forget. The air was thick with the weight of betrayal,
and he felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. Today marked the first time he would confront the reality of his brother Michael's actions since their parents' passing. The room felt like a prison, each piece of furniture a reminder of what was lost. He could still hear their laughter echoing in the hallways of their childhood home, now claimed entirely by Michael, who had chosen greed over family. As he prepared for this moment, Diego's mind drifted to Barbara, their mother. She had always taught them about the importance of family, the bonds that should never be broken. But Michael had twisted those lessons, using them to justify his own selfishness. Diego sat in the dimly lit office, his heart pounding as he prepared for the confrontation that was long overdue. The walls, adorned with fading photographs of happier times, seemed to close in on him. He could still hear the laughter of his parents echoing in his mind, a stark contrast to the heavy silence that now filled the room. Today, he would face Michael, the brother who had taken everything from him after their parents passed away. As the door creaked open, Diego looked up to see Michael enter, a confident smirk plastered on his face. The very sight of him filled Diego with a mix of anger and sorrow. Michael had always been the golden child, but in the wake of their parents' death, he had transformed into something unrecognizable, greedy, selfish, and utterly consumed by the desire for wealth and status. "Diego," Michael said, his tone casual, as if they were merely discussing the weather, "I didn't expect to see you here. What's going on?" Diego clenched his fists, fighting the urge to lash out. "We need to talk, Michael, about everything you've taken from us, our family, our legacy." Michael raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. "Taken? Come on, Diego. I did what I had to do to secure our future. You should be thanking me." Diego shook his head, frustration bubbling to the surface. "You've twisted everything our parents taught us. They valued family above all else, but you've turned our home into a battleground for your own gain." For a moment, Michael's mask slipped, revealing the insecurity that lay beneath. But just as quickly, he regained his composure, crossing his arms defiantly. "You're just jealous. You always have been. I've worked hard for what I have." "Hard work or manipulation?" Diego shot back, his voice rising. "You've used our parents' death as an opportunity to line your pockets while I've been left with nothing." Michael stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "You think you're the only one who suffered? I lost them too, Diego, but I'm the one who had to step up and take charge. I'm the one who had to make the tough decisions." "Decisions that only benefited you?" Diego replied, feeling the weight of betrayal pressing down on him. "You've alienated everyone who cared about our family. You've replaced love with greed." The tension in the room crackled like electricity. Michael's expression hardened, and for a moment, Diego thought he might see a flicker of remorse, but it was quickly replaced by anger. "You don't know what it's like to be in my shoes. I had to fight for everything. You've always been the weak one, hiding behind our parents' legacy." The words struck deep, and Diego felt the sting of them, but he refused to back down. Weakness isn't about what you accumulate, it's about how you treat the people around you. You've lost sight of what really matters. Just then, there was another knock on the door. Diego turned to see Michelle standing there, a look of concern etched on her face. She had been Michael's partner for years, a constant presence in his life, and yet Diego sensed that beneath her cheerful exterior lay a depth of understanding that few recognized. "Hey, is everything okay?" Michelle asked, stepping inside. Diego glanced at Michael, who was visibly annoyed by the interruption. "We were just having a conversation," he said tersely. Michelle's eyes darted between the two men, sensing the tension. "Maybe I should come back later." "No," Diego said firmly, feeling an urge to include her in this moment. "I think you should stay. This affects you too." Michael glared at him, But Diego continued, "You need to hear this, Michelle. You've been with Michael through all of this, and I want you to understand the truth." Michelle hesitated but nodded, taking a seat beside Diego. "What truth?" "Michael has betrayed not just me, but also the very essence of our family," Diego said, his voice steady. "He's taken everything from me, and I'm here to confront him about it." "Diego," Michael interrupted, his voice rising defensively. "You're twisting this. I've done what I had to do to make sure we're financially secure. You should be grateful." "Grateful?" Diego echoed, incredulous. "You've turned our family into a business deal. You've neglected the bonds that should unite us." Michelle looked at Michael, her brow furrowed. "Is that true, Michael? Have you really lost sight of what's important?" Michael opened his mouth to respond, but Diego cut him off. "He has, Michelle. You deserve to know that he's been using you to build his empire. You're not just his partner, you're a pawn in his game." The silence that ensued felt heavy, and Michelle's expression shifted from confusion to realization. "I felt something was off, but I didn't want to believe it. I thought I was supporting him." "Supporting him?" Diego said, his voice softening. "You deserve to be seen and valued for who you are, not just for what you can provide. Michael has taken so much from both of us, and I want you to see that." Michael's composure began to crack. "You don't know what you're talking about, Diego. You don't understand the pressure I'm under." "No." "Michael, you don't understand the damage you're causing," Diego replied, his heart aching for the brother he once knew. "You're losing the people who care about you because of your choices." Michelle looked at Michael, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I've tried to be there for you, but I can't keep sacrificing my own happiness for your ambitions." The words hung in the air, and for the first time, Diego saw a flicker of vulnerability in Michael's eyes. But instead of remorse, it was anger that surfaced. "You're both against me. You think you can just turn your back on me?" "Turn our backs?" Diego said, his voice steady. "We're trying to save what's left of our family. You're the one who's abandoned us." As the confrontation reached its peak, Diego felt a sense of liberation wash over him. He had finally confronted the betrayal that had torn their family apart. While Michael may have taken everything material, preserve the original language of the connections they forged with one another. And with that realization, he knew he had to help Michelle reclaim her own identity, just as he was beginning to reclaim his. The room was charged with unspoken emotions, and Diego felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was ready to find justice, not just for himself, but for Michelle too. Together, they could confront the shadows of betrayal and emerge stronger, ready to forge a new path forward. Diego sat in the dimly lit office, the air thick with tension after the confrontation with Michael and Michelle. Days turned into weeks, and the echoes of that moment lingered in his mind. He had exposed the greed that had consumed his brother, but the emotional fallout was still settling. As he navigated his own feelings of betrayal and loss, he couldn't shake the thought of Michelle. She had been caught in the crossfire, and Diego knew she needed support as much as he did. One chilly afternoon, he received a message from Michelle. "Can we meet?" it read, and Diego felt a rush of anticipation mixed with concern. He agreed to meet her at a small cafe they used to frequent, a place filled with memories of laughter and warmth. As he arrived, he spotted her sitting at a corner table, her eyes reflecting a mixture of vulnerability and determination. "Hey, Diego," she greeted softly as he approached, offering a tentative smile. "Thanks for meeting me." "Of course, Michelle. I'm glad you reached out," Diego replied, taking a seat across from her. The atmosphere felt heavy, but he sensed a shift in her demeanor, a newfound strength simmering beneath the surface. "I've been thinking a lot about our last conversation," she began, her voice steady. "You were right about everything. Michael, he's changed. I thought I could help him, but I've been losing myself in the process." Diego nodded, feeling a surge of empathy for her. It's not easy to see someone we care about change like that. You deserve to be valued for who you are, not just what you can do for him. Michelle took a deep breath, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I've spent so long trying to support him, but I feel like I've been sidelined in my own life. I'm tired of sacrificing my happiness. Diego leaned in, his voice gentle yet firm. You have so much to offer, Michelle. It's time to reclaim your own narrative. You deserve a life filled with joy and respect. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken thoughts. Michelle looked down at her hands, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of the table. I've been thinking about what you said, about confronting the truth. I need to take a stand, not just for myself, but for my future. Diego felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. That's a powerful realization. You're not alone in this fight. I'm here to support you, whatever you decide. Michelle looked up, a spark of determination in her eyes. I want to talk to Michael. I need him to understand that I won't be a pawn in his game anymore. Are you ready for that? Diego asked, concern etched on his face. It might be difficult. I know, she replied, her voice unwavering. But I can't keep living in this shadow. I deserve to be seen and valued. Weeks passed, and the day of the confrontation arrived. Diego stood by Michelle's side as they entered Michael's office, the air thick with unresolved tension. Michael looked up, surprise flickering across his face. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his tone defensive. Michelle took a deep breath, steadying herself. "We need to talk, Michael, about us." Michael's expression hardened. "What's there to talk about? I've been busy building our future." "No, you've been busy building your empire at the expense of our relationship," Michelle countered, her voice gaining strength. "I've lost myself trying to support you, and I can't do it anymore." Diego watched as Michael's facade began to crack. "You're being unreasonable. I've sacrificed so much for you." "Sacrificed or manipulated?" Michelle shot back, her resolve unwavering. "I've been there for you, but I can't keep sacrificing my own happiness. I deserve more than this." The silence that followed was deafening. Michael's eyes darted between Michelle and Diego, the realization of his actions dawning on him. "You think I wanted this? I've been under so much pressure." "Pressure doesn't justify neglecting those who love you," Diego interjected, feeling the weight of the moment. "You've lost sight of what truly matters: family, love, respect." As the confrontation unfolded, Diego felt a sense of liberation wash over him. Michelle was reclaiming her voice, stepping into her own power. He could see the impact of her words on Michael, who was beginning to grapple with the consequences of his choices. "I thought I was doing the right thing," Michael finally admitted, his voice trembling. "But I see now that I've pushed you away." Michelle softened slightly, her expression shifting from anger to empathy. "I want to believe that you can change, but it starts with acknowledging the hurt you've caused." Michael looked down, the weight of his actions pressing on him. "I'm sorry, Michelle. I never meant to hurt you." Diego felt a shift in the room, a glimmer of hope emerging from the ashes of betrayal. "It's a start, Michael, but words alone won't be enough. It will take time and effort to rebuild the trust you've broken." "I'm willing to try," Michael replied, his eyes filled with regret. As the conversation continued, Diego sensed the possibility of healing. The road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, it felt like a path toward reconciliation rather than destruction. Weeks turned into months, and as the seasons changed, so did their relationships. Michelle began to carve out her own identity, exploring passions long forgotten. Michael, too, embarked on a journey of self-reflection, seeking to mend the bonds he had neglected. Diego watched with a sense of pride, knowing he had played a part in their transformation. The lessons learned from betrayal had forged a stronger connection among them, one rooted in respect, understanding, and a commitment to growth. As he sat in the office one evening, reflecting on the journey they had taken, Diego felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had faced the shadows of betrayal and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the future with hope and resilience. The bonds of family, once strained, were now being rebuilt, and Diego knew that together they could face whatever challenges lay ahead.